When thinking about the Earth's geology, we have to bear in mind that there are two competing models of how the Earth and its geology came to be what we know it is today. The first model, which was the most popular model for very many hundreds of years, is a model based upon catastrophic events, catastrophism. And that says that the major features of the Earth's geology were created during times of great geological upheaval. Things like tectonic plate movements, things like mountain building, things like eruptions of volcanoes on a scale that are unknown today, meteoric bombardment of the Earth, catastrophes that have shaped the Earth and made it what it is. And among those catastrophes would be the flood recorded in the Bible in the days of Noah. Now, the competing interpretation or understanding of geology is called uniformitarianism. What a word, but nevertheless, that's the word given to it. It is a gradualistic picture. And what it says is, no, there may have been catastrophes in the past, but they are not responsible for the geology of the Earth as we see it today. The sedimentary rocks that form much of the crust of the Earth, sedimentary because they're laid down out of water, were laid down very, very slowly. And typically they say they were laid down so slowly that it took 1,000 years to build 1 foot of sedimentary rock, or roughly 3,000 years to build 1 meter of sedimentary rock. And therefore, of course, when you come to a cliff that is 300 feet high, you say, well, that's the lower strata in that cliff, and the strata are sometimes very obvious. You can see the layers in the rock. The lower strata must be 300,000 years old, because that's how long it has taken to build that thickness of sedimentary rock. Now, this is important because all the fossils that we find are in sedimentary rock. You don't find fossils in rock that is solidified from a molten condition. And therefore, they correlate the fossils with the different layers in the sedimentary rock. And because the sedimentary rock, they say, built up so very slowly, it means that the fossils at the bottom must be very, very old. Not just 300,000, but millions of years old. Because the geological column isn't just what you see on any particular rock at any particular place on Earth. The geological column is an imaginary column which is built by taking the thickest layers of a particular stratum from anywhere in the Earth and piling all the thickest layers on top of each other. You get an enormous geological column, and therefore you get enormous ages for the fossils. Now the question is, which of these two models is correct? Gradualism or catastrophism? They can coexist, of course. The main question is which of them really accounts for what we find today which of them is most effective in forming the geology of the Earth. Now, most geologists today will say that gradualism is the one that wins. But I question that, because when you look at the fossils, you realize that you cannot preserve fossils at such a low rate of sedimentation. You see, for a fossil to be preserved in rock, it has to be buried quickly. Otherwise, it just erodes, it breaks up, it wears away, gets eaten, whatever. You have to have sudden burial, quick, rapid burial. There are, perhaps, I just give one example of this, there are what are called polystrate tree trunks. And all that means is there's a tree trunk vertical, tree trunk fossil, vertical in say, a cliff face, and it passes through many strata. Poly means many. Polystrate tree trunks. But a tree trunk, perhaps 15, 20 feet high, passes through many strata, including coal seams and all other kinds of rock deposited from water. Now, there is no way that that can happen without rapid burial. If it was going to take 100,000 years to bury that tree trunk, then there wouldn't be a tree trunk there to bury after the first 1,000 years, shall we say. Equally, if that tree trunk were forced down through soft mud, then that mud would still be soft, freshly deposited. And I have come to the conclusion that the rapid burial of fossils demonstrates that the deposition of these fossil-bearing rocks, of these sedimentary rocks, must have happened hundreds and thousands of times faster than is claimed, and that they must have happened during catastrophic rather than gradual effects. That's why I subscribe to flood geology. In Noah's flood, there would have been a massive burial of living things, burial in runoffs, in sediment, pouring off from the continents.